It's Thursday, the 30th of June. Good morning, Europe. A very warm welcome to the programme. Let's take a look at our top stories.
Ukrainian authorities confirmed that 144 military personnel have been released from captivity in Russia in what is believed to be the largest prisoner swap since the war began. NATO commits to a major overhaul and embraces a new strategic concept based on a direct threat from Russia as the US increases its military presence in Europe. And 20 suspects of the November 2015 Paris attacks receive sentences for their role in the massacre. Salah Abdeslam gets France's toughest sentence of full life.
Ukraine's military intelligence has published video claiming to show the exchange of prisoners between Ukraine and Russia. President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed that 144 Ukrainian military personnel have been released from Russian captivity as part of a prisoner swap. The exchange is the largest since the war began.
I'd like to tell my close ones that I'll come back to them soon. Honestly, I'm overwhelmed with emotions. But it was very hard to drive because it's another attempt to come back home and it didn't work out before. All the time during the journey, I was thinking that it would fail, go wrong, and we'd return to captivity.
Of the Ukrainian prisoners freed, 95 were involved in defending the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol, and many of them have serious injuries, including burns and amputations. The exchange saw an equal number of soldiers released by each side. Meanwhile, at least 4 people were reportedly killed and 5 wounded by a Russian missile strike on a residential building in Ukraine's southern city of Mykolaiv. A 4-story building was partly destroyed by the attack. Moscow has admitted to the strike on the city but said its forces had hit what it called a training base for foreign mercenaries in the region.
NATO country leaders recharged their cultural batteries at the Prado Museum ahead of the final day of a momentous summit in Madrid. They have already expanded the alliance by 2, formally inviting Sweden and Finland to their number, and they have committed themselves to a major overhaul of NATO's military mission.
So today, leaders have endorsed NATO's new strategic concept. And it is published as we speak. And this is the new strategic concept. The current one was agreed in 2010, and this is very different compared to what we agreed back then. It makes clear that Russia poses the most significant and direct threat to our security.
Along with pledging support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia for as long as it takes, NATO is strengthening its eastern flank, transforming the NATO response force, while the US has also agreed to ramp up its military presence in Europe. Meanwhile, the leaders of Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark and Iceland have been reflecting on NATO's new-look Nordic bloc.
We have to keep in mind that Finland has, during decades, and specifically during the last decade, been building up cooperation, enhanced partnership with NATO, bilateral cooperation with USA, with UK.
Russia's actions have dominated the summit, but the alliance is also looking to other directions too, namely what it calls the systemic challenges posed by the People's Republic of China. It means while NATO is set to expand membership, it also looks to reinforcing partnerships with non-NATO countries. It's been a long time coming. 20 suspects in France's biggest terrorism trial have been convicted and sentenced in a Paris court. Salah Abdeslam, the only survivor of the group that carried out coordinated attacks in Paris in 2015, was found guilty of murder and sentenced to full life in prison, the toughest sentence available under French law. Of the other defendants, besides Abdeslam, 18 were given various terrorism-related convictions, and one was convicted on a lesser fraud charge. Some were given life sentences, others walked free after being sentenced to time served. Survivors and victims' families emerged from the packed courtroom dazed and exhausted after an excruciating 9-month trial that's been crucial in their quest for justice and closure.
The range of sentences shows that the sentences were made for each individual as it should be.
What is important is that, for us, we had a trial that is memorable, I would say of very good content, both in terms of justice and in terms of the possibility for everyone to express themselves. I'm satisfied with the sentence, and I think that, like many people, it is fair. We should not exaggerate, we should not ask for more, but I think that it has been done in accordance with the law, and that is good. On Monday, I'm going back to work. I think it's going to take a few long weeks to get back on track, to move on and to analyze what I've just experienced. But really, there's a need to get back to normal life.
The 2015 gun and bomb attacks on bars, restaurants, the National Football Stadium and the Bataclan music venue left 130 people dead and saw hundreds more injured. It was the worst attack in France since World War II.
This is the third and last day of the historic NATO summit here in Madrid. Why is it historic? But for many reasons. First of all, on Wednesday, NATO alliance formally invited Sweden and Finland to join the alliance. These two long-neutral Nordic countries which are going to finally join the alliance after Turkey dropped its opposition to their bids. This brings the alliance from the 30 to 32 members, and it also shows how Russia's war in Ukraine is transforming regional security. The United States President Joe Biden announced that he's going to increase United States military presence in Europe. He also announced that he's going to set permanent headquarters of his U.S. Fifth Army Corps in Poland, a move that Vladimir Putin was opposed to for years. In the end, this transformation, this transformative summit, as the Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said even before the summit, is also reflected in the new strategic concept of the alliance for the next decade. For the first time, Russia is defined as the most significant and direct threat for the alliance, and for the first time as well, it's the challenges set by China are also literally written in this concept, which means that actually the strategic competition between great powers is back. And this, of course, shows that what Macron was saying in 2019 about the brain death of NATO alliance belongs to the past. Efi Koutsakosta for Euronews, Madrid.
Disgraced R&B superstar R. Kelly has been sentenced to 30 years in jail for racketeering and sex trafficking crimes. The 55-year-old was convicted 9 months ago for leading a decades-long effort to recruit and trap teenagers and women for sex.
This is a significant outcome for all victims of R. Kelly, and especially for the survivors who so bravely testified about the horrific and sadistic abuse they endured. R. Kelly is a predator.
I started this journey 30 years ago. I was 14 years old when I encountered Robert Sylvester Kelly. There wasn't a day in my life up until this moment that I actually believed that the judicial system would come through for black and brown girls.
Kelly's conviction in New York was widely seen as a milestone for the Me Too movement. It was the first major sex abuse trial where the majority of accusers were black women. Kelly's lawyer says they will appeal against the length of the sentence.